Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you decided to tune into this episode today. Thank you all for being here and for listening. My name is Ashley Smith, social media marketer for the last 11 years this July. Super excited about that. Just getting started here, letting some other people join us as they can and doing the fun digital stuff. Um, Today, what we are going to talk about is getting started on social media, especially when you have a small business or if you are just getting into the game. Social media has become a necessity for businesses. It's very, very similar to the same kind of ROI or importance that um, a cell phone number, a email address, and even a website. And these are the kinds of things that people commonly have questions about when they're getting started. I am in the Midwest, and there are still some questions that I get from people that want to know if they should even have a Facebook page or an Instagram or a YouTube channel or Twitter or LinkedIn the short answer is yes. The very short answer is yes. Um, when you're starting a new business or you're starting or you're even looking or considering a digital presence, social media definitely needs to be one of those things that you participate in. One of the common questions that I get from this aspect is what platform should I be on? And a lot of the advice out there online, and a lot of marketers will tell you, is go where your target audience is. Where do you want to be? And I'm going to say yes. That is valid advice, but I'm going to give um, an unpopular idea or share an unpopular idea or unpopular concept. And if you're just starting out on social media and you're doing it yourself, my advice to you is to start with a platform that you personally spend your time on. And the reason why is because the odds of you showing up on that platform are incredibly higher than if you were to try and jump in to an environment or a community that you're unfamiliar with. You don't know how it works. You don't know how the buttons function. You don't know what advantages you can take of the platform. And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business owners get stuck with tech intimidation because you don't know how it works. You're not sure what's going to be accepted in a community versus what isn't. Um, and so it can be really discouraging. So one of the things, especially when you're getting started and people aren't paying attention to you, or it feels like they're not paying attention to you, is to begin with a platform that you personally enjoy spending time on. This helps in the aspect of consistency because if you're showing up every day, if you're online, if you're checking that platform anyway, it's a natural segue into posting consistently. And posting consistently, for a lot of people, it varies in that definition. And so my my take on that is you want to be yes, you do want to be consistent, but what does that mean for you at your current place in business? If you are someone that is bootstrapping everything and you're doing it all in yourself, you're a DIYer, like a lot of my clients begin out to be, a lot of my coaching clients end up being. It's one of those things where block out the time on your calendar. Um, does that mean every single day? Does that mean once a week? Does that mean two times a week? Does that mean every Wednesday? You have to be realistic in that because if you become overwhelmed by the content creation process, that's another area that many people often struggle with when it comes to determining or having a regular presence on social media. And there's a couple of different ways and a couple of different tools that I want you to be aware of if you haven't already. The first one being is Canva. And yes, a huge, um, I was initially very, very resistant to Canva. I grew up with Photoshop and Illustrator and Adobe tools. and I've been using them since 1998, 1997, around that era. And so when Canva launched, it was really, it wasn't quote unquote a real tool or a real solution. It actually wasn't something that I looked at until the pandemic and early Clubhouse days, because what I realized was that it, while not suitable for everything, because there are copyright and license issues, well, not issues, but nuances, I guess I should say, that you should be aware of if you're using Canva for your creative process. There are certain things that you can and cannot do they're called elements. So the elements are the graphics, the photos, the videos, the templates that are available on through Canva. There's certain things that you as a business are limited to because you are essentially your Canva membership basically is purchasing the ability to use those elements as a commercial license. You can advertise your business, you can advertise your services and your products using Canva elements and the Canva software program. Um, but the limitation comes in to copyright and trademark because you didn't purchase those license for those elements. So that's a whole other tangent. Um, Not to scare anyone, it is still safe to use on social media and things like that. You just want to understand or be aware of, the limitations that you have with that. But Canva is great if you are in a place where you can afford the membership, the pro version. I would highly encourage that. And really kind of assess, how often are you using this tool? Um, I think right now, as of February 22nd, um, 2023. I'm just going to look up pricing because I don't want to get this wrong. It is there's a free tier there that anybody can use, and it is limited to, in the sense of, if there are paid or pro elements that you can purchase on there, and they're about $1 a piece. So here's the thing though. If you look at Canva Pro, which is $120 a year for one person, so great for solopreneurs, you actually get the premium items included in your membership. So you kind of have to think of it as, if you're going to be using 120 pro elements, or you're finding that you're wanting to use particular photos and elements, videos and things like that anyway, it's definitely worth it. It's a business write-off for you. So I do highly encourage that. Some things that are that are nice with that as well is that it comes with the background remover tool. So if you're taking photos or selfies or anything like that, and you're wanting to replace or remove the background, another great feature is that background remover. You can also schedule social media content with the pro version. So that is very cool and very useful. Someone like myself with the agency, I manage, I think right now, about 25 different accounts. So that doesn't really fit for what I'm using, but if you're managing your own business assets and your own business social media, that scheduler can help. Um, with that said, there are limitations with what can and can't be scheduled, and those are based upon native platforms, or what for example, Instagram will let you do. One of the things that people are asking for and looking for, are reel schedulers. And so that's something, that if you're looking for that scheduler, Canva might not be your go-to tool for that, just because of the limitations of it. But it is also something that, for those quick things to help keep you consistent, to keep you posting all of the time, definitely be considering that. I'm in Canva right now, and just as a test and wanting to do Instagram, it's they're going to give you, schedule posts from your desktop that you can use with with a caption. There's limitations. You do need a business account. You can't be a creator account, things like that. But Canva Pro, definitely worth it. Honestly, the background tool is actually really good. I was kind of skeptical with that one, but it is pretty great. You can also load up your brand colors, your fonts that you use. Again, licensing things like that. So be sure that if you get a specific font, that you're purchasing the correct license for commercial use. Um, what's really great is you can actually resize things. So say you design something for an Instagram post and you're using a portrait dimensions, which are 1080 by 13. Um, oh, what are they? They're 1080 by 1350 pixels. Okay. So you're using that because it's a static image, or a carousel in that aspect, and you have it designed for that. But now you want the same content or the same visual imagery on LinkedIn or Twitter, um, which doesn't. Which let's use Twitter. So Twitter isn't necessarily there's a lot of changes going on with Twitter. That's a whole other discussion in what's going on or what might happen. But one of the things is that some images have started to be cropped. So that means a different image dimension. With Canva Pro, you can go ahead and resize that. I should also take the moment to say that this is not a sponsored podcast by Canva, as much as I would love it to be. But just sharing this tool. So you can resize those things without having to redesign from scratch. And so that's one of the great things that this does have over Photoshop, or Illustrator or InDesign in that aspect of it, because you can easily do that with a couple clicks with Canva Pro. Um, so definitely worth that. What's nice is if you end up growing your team or having someone else that you want to have access to your Canva elements and things like that. It's only another $30. So for $150 for you and the first 5 people, that is a steal for this kind of thing. Considering that Adobe, I think they start at like $80 a month. So yeah, if you're not a full-fledged design agency, if that's not your business, definitely would be looking at Canva. My particular or very specific use case for this was I was in Clubhouse rooms, and how I networked with the people on stage, with the people that I wanted to get their attention for, is I would take a screenshot. I would then tag them in my Instagram stories and post it. And then I got fancier because I do social media management and I do content creation. So it was a way to be able to show what I could do. And I created a template in Canva that easily made it so that I could update it on the go on my phone right then and there, because Adobe programs are quite beefy. Um, they they take a lot out of they require a lot of out of a PC, um, or a computer, Mac too, just saying. There's and so there were a lot of years when I was starting in my business where I was looking at graphic cards and CPUs and RAM that compared to gaming. And I am a gamer. I mean, Minecraft is a game, and we do play modded, so it does require some beefier specs than a Chromebook or your off the shelf um, MacBook or iPad or anything like that. And so, what's really nice to see in this technology world is that there are a lot of these options that are simplifying that for people that don't necessarily need to create. And that's the difference between, you know, Canva and entrepreneurs, small businesses, one solopreneurs. That's the word that I'm looking for. The tools that those individuals need and teams need compared to when you go and hire an actual agency. An agency is going to be using those Adobe tools. They're going to be using Illustrator to create the high quality graphics that you end up needing. So, for example, um, a logo. If you are creating a logo in Canva, you can't trademark it and you can't copyright it. Just FYI. There's also some things. Canva is getting better at this, but it could be a question of or an issue of quality if you're looking for swag or merch. Again, can't copyright, can't trademark. So if those things are important to you, you definitely want to consider and look into that more and have somebody actually create something for you and your business. It all depends on where you're at and what you're trying to use, what the end use is for. Also, not an attorney, so be sure that you consult yours on this matter. Just sharing some information for that. So well worth the money. Was able to and it is you create those templates, and if you are doing this on your own, or if you're someone who with a virtual or a digital service or product, or if you are your product, if you are the digital creator, you are the coach, you are the consultant, um, this is these are tools that will help you. It's also here on Fireside. If you haven't noticed, I'm guilty too, so I'm not shaming anybody, but you get into this world, or you've been doing this for a decade, and you can. I can scroll through the app here on Fireside for those of you that are also on it, and I see the templates that people use with Canva for their cover art for their shows here on Fireside, and other platforms, but this is just the one that we're on and I see. And that's the thing, is that it's making it accessible for people, that and I think that's great. Especially when the opportunity there is very much at our fingertips these days to be able to do that. It's not a high cost buy-in for something that you might not want, or want to change more frequently than hiring an agency that's going to charge you thousands of dollars. Your brand is a different story. That one, yeah, I would recommend that you talk to somebody on that one. But Canva, well-known tool that you need. The other one that I would recommend is called CapCut, CAPCUT. And it is a free app available on iOS and Android. This is on your phone. They also just launched a desktop version that is recently coming out. Sorry, that's my dog and his squeaky toy, if you heard that. But that one is for video editing. And it's really slick. It's really cool. There is a premium version, as there always is with these kinds of things. Um, you may or may not want that. It kind of depends on what kind of style you're looking for. You can create reels in Canva. It's a little bit more. Sorry, just a second. Um, it's a little bit more cumbersome to do it that way. So apps like CapCut are great. There's also other ones that um, you've probably seen in your Instagram feed, or maybe somebody has recommended to you, but CapCut is great for creating those TikToks, for creating Instagram reels, for your idea pins on Pinterest. And it's very slick, it's very easy to use, so it's very user friendly. And the reason why you want to create these videos outside of the app is that, one, it's going to give you a version without the watermark, first of all. And that is something that it's just an added, you don't have to do it, but it gives you an additional edge of credibility, in a sense, as you distribute or repurpose your content on multiple platforms. You won't have the TikTok watermark flying on there. You won't have, your Instagram watermark on those videos on other platforms. And part of that too, there's a technical aspect in it. And with that logo, there is this thing called metadata that's part of the file. And as it's gone, I guess I will say I have personally not stumbled upon or discovered, and the social media platforms are never going to come out and say this, right? But there's been a lot of discussion and concern over, if you upload a TikTok video to Instagram, that Instagram's technology is seeing that metadata of the watermark logo and will then not penalize your content, but maybe it won't get seen as well as it should. And so that's part of it. I think maybe, because when we go back to it, the social media platforms, what they're doing is they're competing with each other because time is a invaluable resource and it's also unreplenishable. You don't get more time. Just to say the least. You can't get that back, right? There's always tomorrow, there's always next week, there's always all of this, but you don't get today back. That's kind of the point of that. And so they want people on their platform because that's how they can have more active users. That's how they can sell their advertising, and that's how they can make more money. So there is that. Um, so Canva, CapCut Pro, definitely things that you want to use, even if you are a product-based business. Um, if you have a physical product, this is going to help you showcase your product, showcase what you do, talk about the problems you solve, but show people how you do that. Video is huge, and it's become even bigger, as predicted over the last couple of years. I think, the pandemic helped a little bit with that aspect of things. But the other part of it is this has been in discussion since 2015, probably 2012, even when I first entered my career in 2012. Um, Video is huge. Uh, it's how people are spending their time. And even if you are not spending your time on that, there are a lot of other people who are. So if you can show that visual element, do it. Highly encourage you doing that. And you don't need a $1,500 camera and a $500 light setup and a $300 mic, and you don't need those things when it comes down to brass tacks. You can do this with your smartphone as you get started, and then determining on the return on investment of the digital content you're creating, then you could go ahead and take a look and say, okay, is it worth an investment of a better camera? Because we are seeing more sales, more followers, and more engagement from video content, because video content takes more time, you guys. You you might be scripted, you might be unscripted, but it still takes time. You still have to flesh out the ideas for an episode or a show. You still have to actually record it. If you stumble or forget something, or because it is scripted, there's retakes, or if you and there's also the editing process. So there's a lot of other elements to it. Not and I realize I'm probably scaring a couple people, but CapCut will make it very simple. It will make it very simple, and short form video is getting bigger. We kind of talked about this in last week's episode, celebrating YouTube's launch. Back from they launched on or they registered their trademark in their domain back in Valentine's Day in 2005. So that's what we talked about last episode. But the whole part of that was creator compensation, as with digital creators and business owners, and figuring out another way to have a stream of income. And YouTube is finally quantifying and looking at YouTube Shorts and the content that's going over there. So as you are eligible for monetization on the YouTube platform, they're willing to pay for it. Now there are changes and things like that, and I think I'm going to be planning out a future episode that kind of compares all of this, right? What's going on TikTok versus TikTok's creator program, what changes are going there versus Instagram versus YouTube, or like Meta, what's happening with all of that. And part of that too is something that I stress with my clients. The companies and the organizations that work with me, they own their intellectual property or their IP. So that's something that you want to consider as well, as when you start hiring out or you start creating things for yourself, it becomes part of your brand. It becomes part of your intellectual property, in that sense. There are legal things that you need to do to make that a little bit more ironclad, because there are some ideas out there that it's an idea. Anyone can do it. anyone can become a social media manager, social media marketer, and start their own agency. Which to that extent, if you are doing that and you would like some insider mentorship, be sure that you reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter. Both is Ashley Smith IRL, and the link is actually my website actually is up and functioning uh, here, and that link is in my bio here on Fireside. So ashleysmithirl.com. Again, branding. Really, really happy with that. Really proud of myself on that one. Anyway, I'm done with patting myself on the back. So, platform to start on. Start on the one you're comfortable with. Now, there are some things that make sense. Now, if you are absolutely in love with TikTok and you love being on TikTok and you want to create these videos and you're inspired by this and all of this and all of that, but your product is more geared towards, 30 to 45-year-olds, you're still going to see success on TikTok. Don't get me wrong. That age group is growing. However, you'd probably do really well on Instagram. So you might want to for practice, right? Or for getting into that routine. Start posting on the platform that you like, and then start taking in some of the strategy. Like, okay, this is really good for moms, so Pinterest would be a good one. And the thing is too is that marketing is a lot of stereotyping. I realized very early on, and profiling, and we kind of shame that when in reality not quite. Yes, there's going to be individuals that don't fit your target audience or your ideal customer. That's just how it goes. Everyone's an individual, yes. But when you're trying to market to a broad amount of people, that's what you want to do. Also, um, take on the social media accounts that you can manage, the number of social media accounts that you can manage. If you're a solopreneur and you're doing it all, if you are creating your videos and your reels, if you're designing your posts in Canva, if you are posting everything, if you are writing a blog, if you are then creating those products, physical or digital, or if your time is taken from clients because you're a service-based business, all of these other things, look at if you can afford to outsource some of this stuff, okay? Or really consider what it would take for you to repurpose that content and add another social media platform, because it goes back to um, one of the main principles of social media marketing. Social media is meant to be social. It's meant to interact with people. It's meant to um, have that interaction, that two-way interaction. It's a two-way communication channel between you and your customers, your clients, your patients, whoever they may be. And so it's another way that you are being accessible to people at their convenience or at their leisure. And so it's one of those, yes, you can have a presence on there. There isn't necessarily anything wrong with it. Just be sure that you're like checking it once a week or once a day and then getting back to people as they need to. Because that presence on widespread social media platforms is going to help you indirectly in the sense of search engine optimization. It'll help you with search engine ranking as long as you're using the appropriate keywords and having a keyword strategy for your captions and your alt tags and images. And it's also going to help with your website domain authority. And yes, you do need a website. But what that does is that tells search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo, and I know I'm missing one, that you are a legitimate site. And so it's a reputation kind of thing. Um, it's kind of like when you see the really cute boy in high school, but you don't really know if he's like good or bad or what, and whichever one you're going for, right? And you ask around and you're like, hey, what do you know about this kid? That kind of thing. Um, so that that's kind of what it is, but for billions and billions of websites and webs and domains and things like that. So pick the platform that you enjoy being on. Canva and CapCut for helping you with content creation. Block the time out on your calendar. This is something that is standard practice for a lot um, of businesses. I don't really know any that don't do this other than for myself. I'm always working on other people's content, which I'm improving on. But block at the time. Have 5 different outfits. It's black shooting. Have 5 different outfits. Take a bunch of video. Take a bunch of photos. Create your quote graphics. Create your content in Canva, um, and then schedule it. Get it out there. That's how you get consistent. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday who was really struggling with this idea because they are wanting to be a gamer on YouTube, starting from scratch. Just something interesting to do, something else to maybe get to fame someday, or another way, or a way to make passive income through YouTube views, or side income, anything like that. And the thing is with gaming, it was a topic of conversation of, it takes it takes an hour and a half to 2 hours to make a 20-minute video, because it needs to be interesting. Silence and just completing campaigns isn't necessarily interesting to watch in that aspect. The same way where you wouldn't necessarily see a YouTube bake a cake and then just watch the cake bake for 45 minutes. There might be a time lapse, speed that up, that kind of thing. Um, but the fact of the matter is that there are YouTubers out there that 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, set it aside. If it's this instance gaming, not cakes that will spoil, but 20 minutes a day, set it aside, do something for that business, do something for that goal. Are you recording enough content for a video in that day? No, but over a week, that's 100 to 140 minutes if you're doing it every day. 5 days to 7 days a week. And that's enough for a video. And if it's not great content, if you're in a really grindy game and that's not enough, there are YouTubers out there that are publishing one video a month as they're getting started, because they have other stuff to do. Because when you get started, YouTube doesn't just cut you a check like your boss will. But it gets you started. It's doing something rather than nothing. Because if you're at least doing something, you're getting closer. It might not be as fast as you want it to be, but at least you're doing it. Because there's a lot of times, myself included, and this is another parallel that I share with people. Social media is a lifestyle. It's a lot like fitness. And I say that because I could have lost, 2 to 4 pounds in the last month. If I would have exercised, if I would have ate right, if I would have done something every day to get me towards the goal. Well, after 3 months, that it compounds, and the results compound, whether you did something or you didn't, right? And it's the same thing with social media. If you are consistent, if you are posting, you can set outrageous goals for yourself. You can say, I'm going to be on TikTok and I'm going to post on Instagram 2 times every single day. You can do that, and you will see the results for the energy that you put into your social media. But is it realistic? Because when you are a solopreneur, or you are the main person, you don't have a team yet, or maybe you only have one other person as a team, or one part-timer, or you're just getting volunteers because you can't afford a team. You have to have that balancing. Otherwise, you're going to burn out and crash. And that's not just with social media, that's in business and that's in life, right? So, consistency and your posting schedule, make it realistic for you, but do something. Bare minimum, even if video concept, even if it's like that one video a month, do it. That works for YouTube. It's not really going to work for Facebook or TikTok or Instagram very well, but celebrate that. If you are in a creative mood, or you have a lot to talk about, or there's something really big going on in your industry, do more, create more content. Do that. Take advantage of that. Because there can be lulls unless you are an incredibly talented individual and can hone in and just be like, no, I'm going to be creative every day between 10 and noon. I'm going to be creative and I'm going to make stuff. that doesn't hit me like that. So I have to take those when they come, for sure. Um, the other part of it is it's figuring out, because each social media platform is a different community. People behave differently there. It's not just the kind of content that is consumed or created on the different platforms, but it's how people interact with each other, or the little nuances or the jargon that is said in that community, or what is acceptable or what isn't. I think I said that already, but as an example, Twitter, the life the life um, lifespan of a tweet in 2022 is, let's see here. According to Twitter, January 22. Let's see if 23 is out yet. Okay. So, according to Content Studio, a tweet's lifespan is only 18 minutes. So, in mathematical theory, yeah, because here's another conflicting result from Scott Graphius. I'm horrible at names, you guys. I'm sorry. As saying that the average life duration for a tweet is 24 minutes. So let's say 21 minutes ish is the lifespan or the lifetime of a tweet. So that means you would need to tweet 3 times every 20 to 22 minutes a day to stay top of mind, right? Now that's what it's saying. Now let's break this down. Let's break this down. um and this gets a little bit nerdy, other than social media 101. But that means after 20 minutes your tweet has essentially expired based on averages of the entire platform. Now we're talking about accounts with millions. There's my dog again. Millions of followers following it. So that's a little bit different. The other part of this that I want people to be mindful of is that you are also taking into consideration, your content is competing with the other content the end user is consuming. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to use Facebook as an example. I recently cleaned up my following list. Way back when Facebook originally launched, you could like all the bands, all the movies, all the celebrities that you had an interest in, or anything that you had an interest in. You could say that you liked it, and it would be on your profile, so people could know a little bit more about you. Well, as changes happened, that meant that you just liked a bunch of random things or a bunch of random pages, right? So I went through, and I went from like 1,500, and I'm down to 600. Of those pages that I'm following, and I'm still going through all of that. That's separate. Now, that's separate from my friends, okay? So, for example, I'm following 600 pages on Facebook. I have about 1,100 friends that I'm personally connected with. My feed and the algorithm is going to be super, super oversaturated. And they're going to be looking at my engagement rate to feed me content to keep me on the platform longer. Now, let's compare that to my grandmother, who has 23 friends, and I don't think she knows how to like a page. The odds of her seeing every single post from those 23 people increases dramatically because she's not following that many accounts. Now, if I'm on there posting 5 times a day, she's probably going to see all of those posts, and she is going to know everything about me. And compared to, my mom, who she's friends with, who posts once a week. She'll see both of them, but she's going to see way more of mine because I'm posting more consistently or often, way more often. And so it's taking that into consideration as well. So if you are a business and someone is following you and they're only following 5 people, but you're tweeting 50 times a day, they're going to see your content. So much so that they might not understand it and feel like they're like, oh, okay, you're all I'm seeing. I'm not seeing anything else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Um, the important part when it comes to starting on social media is doing it, learning from it, and yes, being consistent from it, but doing it in the way that it fits for your business at your particular time. Brands with larger followings post more often because they have the audience capacity to support that. So don't feel bad about the fact that you only post 2 times a week instead of five, or you know you're gonna get out of social media what you put into it. So it's like anything else. You give it time and the attention to grow it. That's one of your main goals. It's like, no, I am going to grow my Instagram following. Then you show up on Instagram. You learn everything you can about Instagram, and then you do what you need to do and take action on Instagram. And being business owners or being digital creators or being people that are trying to make money using social media, then it comes down to, how do you convert? How do you tell these people that this is what they buy? This is what they should buy, which comes down to, what should you be posting? What kind of content do you want to be posting? What should you be sharing with these people? If your business has nothing to do with your dogs, don't post about don't post about your dogs. If you are a digital creator who has dogs and your community and your followers are dog people, post about your dog. Okay. If you have hair dye products, show people what the product looks like before and after. Show them what it looks like on different shades of hair. Show them best practices. Explain why they would want to do it. Um, it's all about. It comes back to being social. And this is where it's hard for some people because not everybody is natural at sales. Um, Not everybody has that ability to have conversational sales, and it's a learned skill. You can learn it. Some people are just really, really good at it otherwise, and other people are really, really blatant about, hey, I got this thing and that I'm selling, buy it, that kind of thing. And it comes down to personal preference and what you're doing. If you are a retail clothing store, yes, the majority of your content is going to be what do you have for sale on sale, what do you have available to purchase, what specials you're doing, all of those things. Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what are some of the other aspects or other things that your business stands for? Are you involved in the community? Is there a philanthropy or a mission that's really near and dear to your heart? Why did you go into business? Um, it starts you start thinking more about a strategy of your overall social media presence. um I just really want to encourage you to go ahead and start posting. um and it comes back to who, what, where, when, why, and how, and um answering those questions about a particular topic, about a particular product, about your business overall, about the news that's happening in your industry or in your community, um, questions that people are asking, uh, things that and ideas that come up in interactions with your customers or with business partners or with your family or brainstorming sessions, all of that kind of stuff. It's all content and it can all go out there. Um, it's one of those where I see people, they get discouraged with not knowing where to click, not knowing what to do, not knowing how it works. And if you bare minimum, if you're just like, I hate social media, I don't know how it works, I'm never on it, all of these other things, I'm willing to bet you're on one, and maybe you don't know it, but you're on one. You might not be active, but you're on one. Um, and so I'd be interested to know what that is. If you guys want to share, be sure you can tweet me, Ashley Smith IRL on Twitter. Um, just where do you think about that? Where do you find yourself spending that time? Um, bare minimum, it's not necessarily considered a social media platform, but a really, really good one to use is a Google Business Profile. They're free. You need a Gmail account associated with it. It's a Google account created with your email. It's basically it gives your business control over a business listing for Google search results and post once a week. That's it. And it's necessary information. It gives business hours, holiday hours. During the pandemic, there were COVID policies. You could do events, you could do specials, share photos. It's people are leaving reviews, things like that. It's great for that search engine ranking on Google, and it just helps give more credibility to your business. And that's one of the questions too that I get a lot of is people want to know why they need social media. Um, because again, it's the same value. If you had a business and I said, okay, I'm gonna take away your email, figure out how to do business, you'd freak out. I'd freak out. I had an email outage happen last week for 2 days that I didn't know about. I freaked out. That's how people reached me, and that's what's happening with social media. And the thing is that it does take your time, but it's an exceptionally low buy-in for an investment for your business. So creating that time and figuring that out is exceptionally important. But that is going to wrap it up for today, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have more specific questions or if I said anything that resonated with you and you'd like to learn more, be sure you follow on Twitter. Go ahead and tweet me your ideas, Ashley Smith IRL. If Twitter's not your jam because things are a little weird over there right now, Ashley Smith IRL, also on Instagram. Just let me know that you heard this episode either on Fireside Replay or if you're watching over on YouTube. That's another option. One, because then I know you're not a bot, mainly because I know that you're not a bot, you're a real human being. But I love some other ideas or to hear some topics of things that you'd be more interested in tuning in on. So thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you all and have a great